City, First Nation.
From Crane River, Manitoba.
Cross Lake, Manitoba. Michigan.
From Charlotte, Ontario.
I'm from Cross Lake.
White Dog, Wapsimon, Ontario, Treaty 3 area.
I'm from Waiski Speak First Nation.
Or as in White Dog. From the Treaty 3.
From the Pasca Cree Nation.
I'm from Pakalawagan, Matthias Colomb, Cree Nation, originated from the Treaty 6 Fort L'Orange Band.
My reserve is Satchel Lake, Ontario.
Pegus First Nation.
I'm from Serpent River First Nation, or known as Ganamjing, within Ontario, and my community is a signatory of the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850.
From a Vels Reserve near Kenora, Ontario.
From Kenora, Ontario, Canada.
I'm from Saptoria Cree Nation.
I'm from Island Lake.
I learned that everyone has rights. We all have rights. Passed down through generations and generation to generation.
Just more about like my culture.
I've learned about Treaty 3.
I didn't know that we could be affected by all these things here. And Saskatchewan is fighting for their hunting rights. I've learned that everyone has a gift.
I've learned that people are always going to talk. Like if you're doing something, people are always going to be talking bad about you. And you're not supposed to listen to them. Just keep doing what you're doing. Another thing that I learned was to always forgive people. Like, even if it's like a hard thing, just have forgiveness.
I've learned that there's more stages between the tribal council and the crown. It doesn't go directly from the crown to the tribal council, as in like money-wise. And
I learned about how people like us are struggling to find work, to have money, to get anywhere else.
What I have learned from the conference, from the Elders Youth Gathering, is getting back to the simplicity of things in our way of life, reverting back to our culture, understanding that grooming process that we need to get back to, because back then we had a system that allowed for growth, allowed for building capacity from a child to adulthood. We all share that same common destination as our relatives, the four-legged ones, the fish, the birds, our relatives, is that we have that process where we teach our children until they're ready to be independent. So when they become of age of adult, they can trust in their abilities to be independent and lead our nation. And that's what I've gotten from this conference alone, is just getting back to the simplicity of things.
I learned a lot, especially when it comes to forgiveness. And also what I learned is that learning our 7 teachings, learning our ways, our stars, our leaders.
See youth, step out of their comfort zone, and to see how youth engagement really works. What's the best way? What's the best way that we can engage youth? How can we attract them, and how can we empower them?
What I loved was the nation building, a lot of talking of uniting and the future line into the youth, which I totally understand and believe in it as well.
The past 2 days has been very insightful. A lot of things we learned is more elaborate. We got to eat at the same time. We got to help the community and the youth, gather themselves, because the elders and the teachers are not always going to be there to help and teach everybody what they know and hold their hand.
A little bit about the First Nation culture and the treaties, and the medal that was created after the treaties were made, and it wasn't as positive as it was intended to be.
Yesterday I learned everything about the treaties.
I learned about treaties, and I really took a lot of information from the table talk with the elders. I only had a talk with an elder about residential schools once before. And I had Elder Theodore Fontaine, and he was telling his stories about the residential schools.
Now that I learned so much about who I am, where I come from, I'm deciding to take that path.
I'd like to see more like youth facilities, like stuff for the youth to do, because in our community we don't really have much stuff for them.
See better changes in the young people, more traditional stuff.
Change on solvents. Solvents is a big problem in my community.
I'd like to see more youth, more interacted with each other and the people around them and their surroundings. To see change positively.
They should do something about the solvents, because that's the problem. Like maybe like most of the
Getting
communities.
back to the cultural ways of grooming our leaders, and I don't mean political leaders, I mean leaders in every fashion of our community, whether it be education, whether it be sports and recreation, whether it be parenting, whether it be in the political arena. Every area has a grooming process, and that's something that we definitely need to get back into. Yes, the systems have changed in a way where we separate ourselves, but in the end, we're all interconnected, and we need to remind ourselves of that interconnectedness.
Come to this, for strong nations, we need strong communities. For strong communities, we need strong families. So we need to rebuild the family structure within our communities. We need to make sure that our men are the protectors, the providers, and our women are the ones who are the caretakers of the water and the land, and and for the young ones too, so that we can grow up and break this cycle. The trauma and abuse from residential school. We can break that cycle, stop it there, but start a new one, and reintegrating our young people back into the culture, those teachings which once followed can really make a people prosper. We gotta even get our own statistics in order. I've seen where governments and provincial and federal agencies have provided statistics, but they're not even accurate with each other. So it's telling me that, hey, they don't even have accurate statistics which they base their funding formulas on. So, we got to get back and figure out really what's in our communities, what type of people do we have, what type of standard of living do we have, and we have to get it updated in order for us to have a stronger position, and in order for us to, say, you guys funding formulas are based off of stuff that we didn't even approve. There's communities that didn't even participate in your statistics. So we got to start somewhere, and we got to really, we have lots to do. But I think if we, like I said, empower the young people and we work with the grassroots, I think we can hopefully head in the right direction.
I didn't really get to know my childhood, because my childhood is completely destroyed because of the violence, because of the criminal activity, because of the gang.
I'd like to see the teachings brought back to my community and the drum.
Programming, resources, education for the young fathers out there that may have been fatherless due to high CFS incarceration. Programming for young men or men in general to educate our young native males at the core, at their young youth. Well, that will help half of the process with the violence against women, especially if our young men know how to actually be fathers. Programming that doesn't involve actually being incarcerated, where that's where most of our Aboriginal male get their programming from the probation, told to do fathership or better fathering. And what I would like to see is preventive programming, education towards the young fathers that are 14, 15 years old. There's a lot of resources
should be more open, and they should be in the communities more, because I've never heard of these things and these resources.
More protection for young Aboriginal women.
The opportunity that I had is to really, see youth, step out of their comfort zone, and to see how youth engagement really works. What's the best way? What's the best way that we can engage youth? How can we attract them, and how can we empower them? It seems when we're in the type of setting where it's like we want to teach you, you want to teach you got to learn. At times, the youth, it kind of, I don't want to say deters them away, but in a more natural setting, I think the youth gain lots. Is what I'm noticing, is that when they are learning without them even knowing they're learning, is really, really, really important. I find I work with youth in Ontario, and I find when I talk about politics, they kind of just show up, and they don't, because it's big, it's a lot to learn. There's words and terminology there. It's not really youth friendly. So I found that, through ways I bring them together and we do lands-based activities, and then I toss out a couple questions or ideas, and say, hey man, like, you know that this right here is affected by this? And it just says, and then while they're out in the land, they're like, hey, you know what, man, isn't that my right? Don't I have a right to this? So it opens and broadens the way that they learn, which is really orally, and I find that's kind of really interesting. But to see the youth here, it's really good to see that we're able to coincide with our leadership, and to get that discussion and dialogue going amongst the youth to try and really empower them, educate them, but also hear from them on what they want to see. You know what I mean? It's hard to be an Indigenous youth. It's challenging at times because we struggle with identity, but that doesn't mean that there's no hope.
All of us, we got to chase that golden butterfly, and we got to chase it until we got it, until we finally catch it. And that golden butterfly, no matter how far, no matter where they go through, no matter what bumps you go through in life, you don't have to stop, man. And that's what many youth want to do. They'd rather want to quit, they'd rather get high, they'd rather get drunk, they'd rather do this and do that instead of, what they don't realize what they are missing.
I would like to say about leadership is that to get involved as much things as you can in school, be a part of council, speak for your student body, raise concerns and raise issues that are going on in your school to empower other students.
I think the youth should attend more youth gatherings and learn their culture and learn their language.
First for our leadership is that, I really hope the best for them. I support them in anything that they do, because for us, we need to keep an optimistic frame of mind. We need to be positive and trust in our leadership that they will make the proper decisions for our future generations, and to remind them that they need to think of our children first and foremost, because it's our children that will help us formulate ideas, plans, and strategies for our future. When we do that, we are ensuring our future.
You decide your fate, you decide your destiny, and it's up to you and the attitude that you have of life, of, where you're going to be and how you're going to get there. So, positive attitude, is always the best thing that you can have is, stay positive, and things will come back to you. That's one thing I can say, positive lifestyle.
I had fun. That's a good experience.
It's a good experience for the youth, the students.
Well, I'd like to encourage you all to just live a better life day by day. Each step you take, you're just one step closer.
Whatever your passion is out there, I encourage you to stick with it, and whatever is your job is to do, go with it.
I just want to say thank you for inviting us here, and hope we see each other maybe next year.
Keep your eyes on the prize and make sure that you have an opportunity, you take it. Don't take it for granted.
I think for our brothers and sisters, we need to build a strong foundation for the youth. And there's a lot of us that have the teachings, and there's a lot of people that don't because of residential schools, assimilation, colonization. And I think we should reach out to our brothers and sisters and teach the ones that don't know the teachings. That way we would build a strong foundation for...
If I were you, I'd start changing today, like right now, ASAP. No turning back, go straight, move forward. You gotta move on in life. So the more pain you go through, is the more strong you get. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't wait for it to happen, you gotta make it happen. And this is one hell of a journey of a lifetime nowadays, because this generation, we're not sure this generation is cooperating with us right now. Because you yourself, you can change it. We are the future. We are Aboriginals. We are better people. As a First Nations people, I am Desmond Kalan.
Don't be ashamed of what, like if you're Native or not. Just be yourself and don't be scared of who you are.
I love scouting. Wake up. Definitely, there's a lot of youth out there waking up, and the future is coming, and we're living in it now, and we're experiencing that path.
Closing statements. I just want everyone to know that you all have a gift to share with the world. We all have that gift within each and every one of us. You have to bring it out, but also we have to encourage one another to bring out that gift and to share it with the world. So for our young people, for everybody in society, share the gift and encourage one another to bring it out.